know how or why, or, you know, I'm not working out at the gym. I'm not taking shakes and steroids to keep the energy pumped. It's just I wake up in the morning and I think about, oh my God, I want to make something about this issue. And I go to work. So I do work a full-time job for the government. And then when I come home from work at 4 o'clock or whatever it be, 6 o'clock, I run right into my garage workshop and start working on the idea that I woke up thinking about, for example.
That's incredible.
So by the end of the night, I've actually got a substantial idea of a piece. And, you know, so sometimes within a week, I'll pump out 2, 3, 4 pieces.
And you still make time to go to several events
yeah.
the week. And several, like, what do you?
I'm single, by the way.
What are you eating during the night to keep fuel? Like,
yeah,
that's a huge part. What do you?
It's, you know, I am keeping healthy. Like, I'd like to think I freaking quit smoking and all that kind of stuff, and you know, just to keep a good, like, getting good sleeps and stuff like that. So I'm not one of these artists who's gonna, you know, like a good buddy of mine, Stephen Frew. His hours of working are like 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. You know,
okay.
I can't do that. You know, there's no way. I'm KO'd.
He's not working full time at the government though.
No, that's true. He's a full time artist.
Oh, he is.
Yeah,
okay.
so he does it full time.
Look up his art. His art's incredible in the city
fantastic.
as well.
Yeah, he's doing great paintings at Sheriff Freehouse. He's got all his paintings are up at that place.
Oh, excellent.
But yeah, so I've just been you know, trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle. You know, I'm not. I gave up the pot a long time ago. I gave up the smokes. And I try to maintain a fairly healthy lifestyle, so I think that helps as well to keep me on you know, on point with the artwork and creating it. But also, what I would argue is 60 or 70% of my time is spent marketing it, really, and you know, promoting it and getting it into different clubs and venues and galleries and art shows and making contacts and networking at these social events.
Yeah. And one of the things you found, and Ming Wu pointed that out. He had the photo at Artpreneur, where it stopped, where you said, don't look to go to gallery. Is it true that galleries look to take 50%?
Most, I get in trouble when I get into the subject matter, because I mean, there's a lot of people that, anyway, I know a lot of gallery owners.
You know,
but for information's sake, I don't
exactly.
see why I do think it's just common, you know, the consumers and the artists should be fully aware that a lot of commercial galleries, I won't get into naming some in Ottawa, but there's tons in Ottawa, that have they take a 50% cut, and that's fairly standard across the board for commercial galleries. Is where, you know, if the art piece is $1,000, the gallery takes $500, the artist gets $500. I stopped doing that after my first sale, and you know, I realized right then, I was like, wait a second, this sucks. You know what I mean, for the artist. So there are also, and once you start digging, and I'd be more than happy to tell people if they were to write me or whatever.
So definitely, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so through my website,
www.adornato.com.
Yep. And that's ADOR. So, and then anyway, and then so yeah, write me and I'll let you know which galleries that I kind of endorse and prefer. And they charge 35%, 25%. You can get down to 10%. And one of the other things that I really endorse is exploring alternative venues. So looking at bars, clubs, restaurants.
And we speak about that a lot on the podcast.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah,
because you know, the Manx and the Oz cafes and the Shanghai restaurants and the Union 613.
Yeah, where your art would work together, because then it's a win-win-win-win, right? Because it's always different.
And I find too, it's like every night you go to the bar, like at a bar, let's take Union 613. And when I walk in there, almost every night, it's like an opening. There's like a vernissage happening every single night. You know? So that's why I think some of these places are better to have your art in so many ways, because you're reaching such a larger audience. Also an audience that wouldn't necessarily walk into perhaps the more pretentious art gallery kind of thing, right? So, you know, whereas in an art gallery, hey, you got your one big opening night usually when everyone shows up, and then over the next month you get a few stragglers and a few people wandering in. But if you really want to reach larger audiences, which I do, you know, I like it when people see my art.
Yeah.
Then I definitely encourage the more public venues and alternative venues for art.
And I love it. So we're going to take a quick break now. We're going to listen to one more song from Iconoclast, Swing the Axe. No Foodie Prince this week as Jen lost her voice. Get well, Jen. And so we'll be right back in a moment. We're going to talk about some of his current projects, future ideas, and so much more. So thank you so much for being with us for now. We'll be right back. All right. Right, thank you so much, Iconoclast. So that was Swing the Axe, another hard-hitting tune from Iconoclast. Love you guys. Great album. They were right about us. And they're right about you as well when they discuss old school speakers from antique shops and making them into Bluetooth accessories. Which I think this is one of the coolest kind of art things that you've stumbled upon because it involves a lot of interesting work to get this done, right? Like you're learning electronics, you're learning how
That's
to...
it. I've so I guess I like within the art practice, I do a lot of social political stuff, but I also do this kind of like decor, using art, getting antique furniture and that kind of thing and restoring it. And
when did that start? How did that start in the first place?
That started about 5 years ago, and so I've been doing art for a while, and I thought about getting into more woody related art. And
why?
I can't quite remember. I just like the warmth and the feel and the natural elements of wood.
Old school wood? Like, was it old school?
Yeah, and getting into barn
days,
wood and old antiques, and I started finding like...
You're getting sick of the IKEA?
The IKEA, this is exactly it, Couldn't stand the IKEA crap technology and the crap furniture there that... not that it's all crap, but just it wasn't my personal aesthetic or taste. And so, and I started, seeing that a lot of people are throwing these antiques out, and you can get antiques relatively cheap, especially if you start going to these barn auctions and estate sales and stuff. You can really find like these old woody antiques for cheap.
What else are you finding it? So you go to all these antiques. Definitely go to adornato.com or follow him on Instagram to find out what we're talking about here. But where are you? Like, how are you going to these barn auctions?
That was like about 5 years ago, I started looking to pursue this kind of woody art practice with the antiques and thing, and I got into a culture and a network, a community of people around Ottawa that do these. They do basically auctions, which is where people are selling off really cheap stuff. Estate sales, so when somebody passes away and they left behind a ton of junk, they got to get rid of that junk. So they have an estate sale, and you can basically find a lot of stuff there really cheap. And I started hitting a lot of auctions, estate sales, even Kijiji. So if you go look on Kijiji, like there's always people just giving away old sewing machine tables or giving away old lamps or giving away. So I got hunted. I was checking this stuff out 5 times a day online. Like it became again like a little obsessive compulsive disorder. Every day after work, I was driving out to an estate sale or an auction or a Kijiji house.
Are there a lot of them in Ottawa?
There's tons. There's tons everywhere. Yeah,
really?
I think there's. I'll give you a quick little tip. Auctionfever.ca. Auctionfever.ca, and it lists some of the auctions. Some of them are pretty far out there, Manotick, and some of the, about an hour or two outside of town. But some of them are right here in Ottawa. And if you catch it on the right day, and it's not always either, you got to sometimes waste a lot of time sitting around, and you don't get any deals. But some days I've filled up my car several times over with antique radios and antique typewriters and antique film projectors and cameras, like packed my car with stuff like this, sometimes for as little as $50, $100.
A lot of them working or a lot of them not working anymore?
All conditions. Okay. All conditions. So you'll get working stuff for sure, but a lot of times, and what I focus on is stuff that wasn't working because it's cheaper. So I would be able to buy a lot of art supplies for really, really cheap because I'm buying a lot of broken antiques. And then I would reconfigure them, refinish them. I learned how to basically refinish an antique piece of furniture to make it look new again. So doing all the varnishing and the polyurethane treatments and the sanding and the lemon oil. So I've got a workshop in my garage. I got a double garage at home that's just essentially turns into a workshop for a couple of months a year, refinishing antiques. And then these radios, which of course then I kind of got into putting these boombox sound systems inside. So Bluetooth MP3 out of these 1930s Art Deco radios. Yeah. It just kind of came naturally. It kind of came, just with playing with all these technologies and things. So, it became a new obsession in a way. So now I've got like two veins of creation, one was the social political artwork that I'm hanging on walls in different venues and galleries, and then the kind of decor that I just more personally enjoyed. So just refinishing antique furniture pieces, making new furniture pieces out of wood, and just looking at the beauty of the object, functional art, I guess, too, in a way. So it's been...
And conversation pieces for a lot cheaper, right? Like a lot of people care more about those than that sucker that you're looking to your left there, you know?
Yeah.
And that probably works. I don't even know what it is.
What is that? Oh, is that
That's
one of those?
Bluetooth.
See, these new Bluetooth ugly speakers. Right here.
It's terrible. I can throw it against the wall, though.
Yeah. That's true. You cannot throw the antiques against the wall. But no, it's true.
But I would much rather. Yeah, no, I definitely
in a black box or a silver box, right?
We're doing the interview right now in my dojo area, and my dojo area is getting a lot. Is losing age, like it's turning into a Thailand kind of area. Yeah. Getting rid of the couch. I have no TV here. We got a tiger here. Going on, so we're trying to get more towards that. That's why I love that art. I think and I think a lot of people are going to be reaching for more of that nostalgia, especially with you're seeing the mellows ordeal that's going on now.
Yeah,
a lot of people are like, so what? Owners are not from Ottawa. One. Mm-hmm. Two, a local business with local owners are coming in, so that's fine. So there's some people that are like, why are you trying to rally against them, against other businesses? But I see it as like the kind of nostalgia thing. A lot of people are worried that the world's advancing too fast, corporations, the consumerism, and we're going to forget about all these cool things that don't need to be gone.
Yeah, and I totally think so too. I think that there's a fine balance of making sure that when you replace the world of audio technology with these like kind of modern-esque black box MP3 Bluetooth speakers, to not forget that you can also look back at some of these older technologies and older visual aesthetics that they used to come in and adapt them. Like, why not just look at some of the old stuff that was there and adapt it to modern times too?
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of... And essentially, I'm doing no different than taking this little Bluetooth black box speaker here.
Taking it apart.
And no, in some cases, you can just throw this right inside of an old radio. So I'm not... It's more of a DIY culture in that sense too, where it's not very difficult to do. And so it's almost worth like... I've seen people throwing out radios on the side of the street. And I'm like, what do you do? It's a 1930s radio. It's still in decent condition. It's lasted 70, 80 years. Why is it on a curb? You know what I mean? Why is it going in the garbage? So that just drives me crazy. And that would drive... So, I used to drive around on garbage days, too. And they're all around the city. Just to pick up people's useful garbage. Again, so an old chair and one leg broke. Okay, so you can't sit on it as a chair anymore. But damn, there's some really good 80, 90-year-old wood pieces in there that you could go and rebuild maybe a bench, or you could turn it into a small table, or you could reconfigure this old stuff. So, and keep, so you're making modern pieces out of a very old aesthetic that also had a richness and like a history to it,
Yeah, I love it. I want to see more. I want to see more of that happen before we start losing, before one thing breaks and people get rid of it.
Yeah.
I'm glad Pinterest kind of helps with that. I know a lot more people are finding the creative urge inside them with that site. I know it usually takes about 1 or 2 years of looking at the site before you finally go, you know what, I am going to take the plunge. I've been looking at this so long, I'm going to do it. So hopefully more people can do that kind of stuff. So other great things you've been a part of. You've told your story. I didn't talk a lot about the past stuff you've done because you have an excellent YouTube video, a 10-minute Pecha Kucha. And right. I've seen your newer Pecha Kucha, which was totally different, which was great as well.
Thanks. And
you went on with Ali Fowler at Artpreneur for a panel, and Ali's great, and you guys both compliment each other pretty well. I like that. So that's been good. You did Shufen over at Jack Pine. You're over at Jack Pine a lot. So
yeah. Those guys at Jack Pine have been really good to me.
And, former guests on the show.
Excellent. Oh yeah, too. Okay, yeah.
No, absolutely.
Super fun guys and girls.
And I guess anything you're kind of working on right now, any kind of social issue that you're looking to tackle yet? Or?
So in September I went off to Peru there. I needed a little holiday. The holiday wasn't long enough, so I faked the Venezuela trip for another week or two. And then now I've just recently, actually, it's probably breaking news right here on this podcast, is that I will